Hello everyone. Tapping into the realms of the divine and the unknown, and the river of life, as I like to call it, I would like to touch upon my perceptions of realms and alternate realities. Sometimes not necessarily alternate, but the same reality being experienced in a multitude of ways within a realm that is all happening within the same place, but appearing to be happening separately. And that goes for the realm of the earth realm, or this universe realm, or there are many theories out there, there are many thoughts and perceptions on what this world is, as far as its makeup and how it's built. I have no qualms about stating my perceptions or my beliefs, or even if they're attacked, or it doesn't matter to me. At this point, I'm just living my truth and from my innermost being. And this presence that's within me is telling me that there are many, many dimensional levels of Earth and the inhabitants upon it. And that goes for, I'm going to be using my imagination and putting it out there in visual pictures through words. I see many Earths. I see many alternate realities. I see many, many alternate timelines. I'm not sure of how many, but in this concept and in this feeling, it is a lot. There's quite a few. And on these earths, we are living out all the realities that we cannot live in one existence, in one human being. Therefore, Mountain Rain, my name I go by. Let's say there are 100 avatars of me on 100 different worlds. And each one is living out a different life with the same people that are on this earth, but in an alternate reality, on an alternate earth. And on these earths, we have Mountain Rain, where her mother did not die in that reality, and therefore she got to live a reality with her mother. Or her father didn't die, or neither of them died. And she's currently on that world, putting them in a nursing home somewhere. I would hope not, but just for the sake of what is occurring and what can occur and the possibilities. And so we could take that in a multitude of billion directions. In the concept of the quantum level, on that level, it could go in so many ways. From that level, we can see a multitude of existences and experiences taken from those existences. Within those realities, I also see one soul, and one soul appearing to be separate, but taking place in the same space. And from my perspective, some people see it in different parts of our universe, like different worlds in different parts of our universe. Some see it as possibly this is a flat earth, and this is just taking place on a quantum level of a much different type of perception. And then we also see that this could be one earth in many layers of realms and dimensional levels taking place within the same space. And I would say all of these are possibilities. Considering if you believe in the belief that anything is possible. Now, physically and quantumly and scientifically, how all that works, I really don't think it's in our capacity, in our brain, to figure that out quite to that level. In my experience, I visualize and I see and I feel and I sometimes smell things and I touch them within my mind. And I can understand it on a more level of through love, through knowledge and knowing. And that's how I'm able to experience these levels and realms of understanding without judgment. And when you have a non-judgment on a perception, then it allows you to go deeper into the perception and possibly actually figure out how it all really works. Because with our imagination, we can create and perceive many levels of understanding, but sometimes it takes a lot of imagination to get to the true and real understanding of a certain reality. And that doesn't mean it's wrong in getting there. It just means that you haven't got all the facts. And in doing that, as you're gaining in the wisdom through your imagination on how to get there, through the creative process, and you're gaining the facts, it's creating a different perception within you. Therefore, you are able to move on to new perceptions and new imaginative thoughts. Therefore, gaining the wisdom within this universal construct of what we call our known universe and material matter. And I think that is a lot for me, that's what I use. That is the creative process that I use. Once you get into that non-judgmental attitude that anything is possible, you're able to go through all of these levels and gain the wisdom through them by trial and error. And in actuality, there is no trial and error. I mean, if you do that and you're considering, well, that was just a big error, I really had a big failure on that part, you can't consider anything a failure if you're gaining wisdom and perception from it. And once you figured out what works and doesn't work, then you move on to the next thing. And that is how I believe we are all working throughout eternity on this level, especially within the materialistic realms. So in getting back to the many worlds, I see many worlds, I see many earths, I see many possibilities. I see that with this Mandela effect that is happening and coming to the understanding on how, within my own being, on how it works, I'll give you an insight on my perception of the Mandela effect. I see many worlds, many realities, many quantum levels. I see myself as a being that has placed itself here in a material world for the purpose of ascension and ascending the wisdom and the knowledge gained from this reality. And that goes on many, many levels and many beings within this world, because I am a part of every single one of you out there. We are all one being in general, just having different separate experiences. I'm going to go a little bit into my personal mission here as a being of light, switching over to the being of light that I am within the realms of divinity known as the unseen, our unseen God. And as I do this, my consciousness moves into this space of total non-judgment and allowing all things possible. In this reality, I see many worlds. I see my beingness within many bodies upon many realms, experiencing similar but different aspects and perceptions for the purpose of gaining the wisdom of duality, negative and positive, touching it physically and taking those experiences with me back into the divine. And as I do this, I am closing up realities as they ascend into the higher dimensions. As they ascend into the higher dimensions, I have decided on a quantum level to move my spirit back into other worlds and combine with the physical matter that is my human body within the other realms. And as I do this, each world is closing, each timeline is closing for the purpose of ascension of all living matter. As we see the things within each reality change, that is because each reality and each world is different on quantum levels. At minute and very, very intricate changes, such as little things such as signs, such as names, such as billboards, movies, people being born, unborn, not born, dying early, dying late. I see many earths that have been destroyed. I have seen many that have ascended. There are many on this plane that feel an ascension happening very quickly. I myself will be moved into the next dimensional level of earths that are not and have not ascended as of yet. And that is my purpose, that is my mission, that is why I'm here, that is why I'm moving through different constructs and closing off timelines. This is my mission, that is why I'm here. The purpose of closing off these timelines is to bring all matter into ascension and all knowledge into the all-consuming fire of that which we call God, the divine. The Mandela effect is simply the repercussions of moving into the different realities. There are many of us have decided to move into the realms. We did not have to come. We chose to come because we have experienced this before on many other dimensional realms, and therefore we are assisting and comforting all those and bringing them into the understanding of the divine, and they and you are the divine. Within this body, within this soul, we close off timelines, we ascend into the light of all there is, and we come back and we are transferred into the soul, combining with the soul, and therefore the move of the soul before us moves on to the next dimensional level. There are many of our counterparts that have ascended and are not coming back into this realm, that are joining with the light, and there are many of us who are moving into dimensional levels, closing off the timelines. And we are focusing now on one timeline. We are very close at this time in the one timeline and narrowing it down into a focal point, a pinpoint, a triangular point, a funnel, you might say. There are no alternate realities outside of this funnel. We are closing it off due to the fact that we have gained all the knowledge that we need from this realm of existence. For an example, where there were billions upon billions of worlds and alternate realities, we have narrowed it down to simply, for the sake of linear time, I will say we have narrowed it down to 5. We're currently on 5 worlds at this time, narrowing it down into a timeline where closing off realities is our mission, and it is why we are here. Our soul is aware of all this. All of our souls that have come here that know that this is our mission are completely aware within the soul consciousness of what we are. And some of us see within many of these worlds, there are worlds that appear to be smaller and worlds that appear to be larger. And that is because the timelines are closing, and these are physically different worlds that we are in. Our spirit, our soul, is moving at a quantum level. Within the blink of an eye, it is transformed and moved into an alternate personage, an alternate avatar, where the avatar before that avatar is moved into the avatar in front of us, which is the world in front of us, that is at a higher dimensional level. Therefore, our souls are closing down timelines in this way. There is no right or wrong way to close down a timeline. As we know, not even the angels in heaven know this. It is all happening at once, yet it is happening at inopportune times. It is happening at times that we are not aware of when it is going to happen. We just know the movement occurs and the flow occurs, and we go with the flow, as you might say, and we move through the timelines closing and moving on into the next dimensional level of Earth and continuing closing down the timelines. The only way a timeline can be closed is if we come into the all-consuming and all-knowing perception that we are one with the Almighty and the Divine. And there is no one here to save us but ourselves. We save ourselves. Going into depression is not going to help. It is only going to hold you back from your divinity and closing down the timelines ahead of you. When you come into the all-consuming knowing that you are the divine and that the only way to reach your divinity that you seek is to accept what you are, who you are, where you are, and what you are experiencing. This is the way it works. This is the way it's done. You have to come into the understanding that you are the divine. All is in the plan. Trust in the plan, and we will all be there soon, very soon. If you find yourself in a place of depression and not moving on, that is because you chose it on a quantum level. You chose the experience not to move on. Therefore, you have continued to stay in the timeline of Earths that are closing down, and you have moved into an alternate perception of yourself, into an alternate avatar. This is not wrong, it's not bad, and you shouldn't feel bad about it, because feeling bad is only a perception. That is what we're trying to close down at this point, is all of these fear-based perceptions from a quantum level and inner level. You all know that this is true. You all know that this is the way it's working. Our physical bodies do take over and trying to convince ourselves this is not what's happening. But within our innermost beings, our soul already knows that all of the timelines are closing down at this time. The Earths are diminishing. It is not a bad thing. It is only because we have gained the experience that we need from them. This physical body will now come back. The transfer will occur, and now this level of thinking that I was just thinking is what I call a quantum level. This is information that comes to me very quickly. There are some that like to call it channeling. I myself, knowing that we are all one, it is us. It is us. We are doing the channeling. That was me. It was me. I am not separate from the divine. I am not separate from the individuals who appear to be on the other side. There were individuals on the other side assisting me, but as we know, we are one. This is just a higher construct and a higher divinity, not even a higher divinity, a thought process. It was a higher vibrational thought. I can't stay in that thought for too long within this materialistic world, because It is a very high vibrational thought. And that was really interesting for me because I've never gone to that level before outwardly, mostly inwardly. I never speak it out, and I wasn't even sure I could say it in words, but it did come through. I hope you all received the message that you needed to from that. I don't even want to call it channeling. I just want to call it a message. Came from the divine through me, through this human body, through this voice. I love you all. I just wanted to touch point on some things I've been talking about, and want you to know it's all in the plan. We're doing great. I'm proud of everybody. We're doing wonderful. We're right on track. I love you all. Bye-bye.